All right, let's dive in.
Mm.
We're taking a look at the Law of One today,
Okay.
and you want to know how it compares to the Tao Te Ching.
Right.
That's exactly what we're going to be doing with this deep dive comparing and contrasting.
Sounds good.
I know the Law of One can be a bit out there
Yeah.
with all the talk about densities and,
Uh-huh.
extraterrestrial beings and all
Yeah.
that. But don't worry, we'll break it down,
Okay.
make it a little easier to digest.
Yeah.
So before we get too far into the cosmic weeds,
Okay.
let's start with how both of these systems see the big picture,
Okay.
like the ultimate source of everything.
Got it.
The Law of One talks about the one infinite creator.
And the Tao Te Ching talks about the Tao.
Okay, interesting.
And it's so fascinating that both of them
Yeah.
emphasize that this source, this creative force, is beyond our ability to really comprehend.
Right.
The Law of One, for example, describes the creator as wanting to know itself
Okay.
and creating this vast universe as a way to do that.
So we're all just part of this grand experiment in self-discovery.
That's one way to put it.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
And the Tao Te Ching doesn't use quite the same language,
Right.
but it seems to agree.
Yes.
It talks about the Tao as the unnameable.
The origin of everything.
Yeah.
But it's not something that you can just easily define or wrap your mind around.
So this seems pretty accurate to you.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool.
And that actually brings us to a point where they both connect
Okay.
the nature of reality itself.
Okay, yeah.
The Law of One talks about this illusion of separation.
Okay.
We see ourselves as individuals,
Right.
but ultimately we're all a part of this one creator. We're all interconnected.
That makes me think about what the Tao Te Ching says, about the constant interplay of yin and yang.
Yeah.
Everything's in flux, transforming, connected.
Right.
Does that connection, the yin and yang, help to make the idea of oneness a little easier to grasp?
That's a great question.
Or is it still kind of out there?
I think the Tao Te Ching gives us a framework for understanding oneness
Okay.
through nature.
Okay.
Look at a tree.
Uh-huh.
It's got roots in the earth,
Yeah.
branches reaching for the sky,
Right.
leaves dancing in the wind.
Okay.
It's a perfect image of yin and yang
Right.
interconnectedness.
Okay, so it's like grounding this big, huge concept of oneness in something that we can actually see and touch.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I like that.
Makes it a little more real.
Now, the Law of One adds another layer to this
Okay.
with its idea of densities.
Right.
These are basically different levels of spiritual evolution, right?
That's right.
Okay.
The Tao Te Ching doesn't use that exact word,
Okay.
but if we think of reaching harmony with the Tao
Uh-huh.
as a process of spiritual growth,
Right.
there's some pretty interesting parallels.
So both systems are saying there's a journey of growth,
Yes,
a movement towards greater understanding and unity.
precisely.
And this journey hinges on,
This is a big one.
okay, free will. Free will.
Yes.
Okay, the Law of One's pretty clear about this.
Definitely.
It's not just some kind of cosmic bonus.
No.
It's like woven into the fabric of creation.
Yeah. In the Law of One, free
Uh-huh.
will is the way we experience polarity.
Okay.
The choice between service to self
Right.
and service to others.
How does that fit in with what the Tao Te Ching says about aligning with the Tao, acting without force?
Interesting.
It sounds almost like surrendering your will
Yeah.
instead of using it.
Maybe the Tao Te Ching is suggesting that true freedom
Okay.
comes from aligning our will with the natural flow of the universe.
So not trying to force our own agenda,
Right.
but acting in a way that's in harmony with the bigger picture.
Exactly.
Okay.
And maybe that's the most evolved way to express free will,
Okay.
at least according to the Tao Te Ching.
It's a fascinating idea.
It is.
So I've got these two systems.
Yeah.
They both acknowledge a source, a path of spiritual evolution, the importance of free will, but they seem to have different perspectives on how we should use that free will.
Yes. That's a key point.
Okay.
We'll definitely want to unpack that more
Right.
as we dig deeper into the teachings.
Absolutely, of each system.
Speaking of diving deeper,
Okay.
let's explore another concept that comes up in both systems.
All right.
The power of thought.
Okay.
The Law of One has some wild things to say about this.
It really does.
Yeah.
The Law of One claims that our thoughts
Okay.
are really powerful,
Uh-huh.
capable of influencing reality itself.
Wait, really?
They even talk about thought forms.
Okay, what are those?
These energy structures that we create with our mind.
So we're not just thinking thoughts, we're creating something real with them.
Yeah, that's the idea.
Okay, so that sounds like it could be kind of dangerous.
Yeah.
Or unpredictable, at least.
Certainly suggests we have a responsibility.
Right. Yeah.
The Law of One talks about aligning our thoughts with what we want to happen,
Okay.
and being mindful of the energy we're putting out there. So it's like a cosmic law of attraction.
There are definitely some parallels,
Okay.
but where the law of one emphasizes conscious intention,
Right.
the Tao Te Ching,
Uh-huh.
in its classic way,
Yeah.
offers a more subtle perspective.
So it's not saying our thoughts aren't powerful.
Not at all.
Okay.
But instead of actively directing our thoughts at specific outcomes,
Okay.
the Tao Te Ching emphasizes cultivating a clear and still mind.
So less about forcing our will
Yes,
and more about going with the flow, even in our thinking.
that's the idea.
Okay.
It's about trusting the wisdom of the universe,
Uh-huh.
recognizing that trying to control everything
Right.
can actually hold us back.
Okay, so two very different approaches to the power of thought,
Right,
but both saying it's important.
exactly.
Okay.
And that shared recognition actually points to another important connection.
What's that?
Service.
Service. Okay.
The law of one is super clear about this.
Yeah.
Service to others is a big part of spiritual evolution.
Yeah, it's seen as essential for growth,
Absolutely.
like a way to get closer to the Creator
Yes.
by understanding that we're all connected.
Exactly.
And the Tao Te Ching, even though it doesn't use that exact language,
Right.
does talk a lot about compassion.
Humility.
Right.
Living in harmony with others.
And the natural world.
Precisely.
So maybe in both systems, service isn't just about doing good deeds. It's about a way of being
Right.
that recognizes that we're all connected.
You got it.
Okay, wow.
It's pretty amazing how these two systems
Right.
with such different origins
Yeah.
point to a similar understanding of our place in the universe.
It really is incredible how these two systems, one channeled from an alleged extraterrestrial source and the other a cornerstone of Eastern philosophy, come together on some pretty profound ideas.
All right.
It's like they're weaving a tapestry of wisdom,
Yeah.
with each thread complementing the other.
Beautiful image. And this tapestry just gets richer when you look at
Uh-huh.
this concept of polarity. The law of one talks about this duality as
Yeah.
service to self versus service to others.
Yeah, it's interesting how the law of one doesn't say one's good
Right.
and the other one's bad.
Yeah.
It's just two different paths.
Two different ways to go.
But how do you even wrap your head around service to self?
Right.
Just sounds kind of selfish.
I think it's more about recognizing the self as part of the whole.
Okay.
Imagine a drop of water in the ocean.
Okay.
It's distinct,
Right.
but it's also inseparable from the ocean.
Okay, I can see that.
Service to self could be seen as that drop,
Uh-huh.
striving to be the best, purest, most vibrant version of itself.
Okay.
And ultimately, that makes the whole ocean better.
So it's not about egotism
Right.
or isolation.
No.
It's about maximizing your potential.
Yes.
And that benefits everyone.
Exactly.
And that connects really well
It does.
to the Tao Te Ching's idea of yin and yang.
Absolutely.
So how do yin and yang fit into service to self and service to others?
Think of service to self as aligning with yang energy,
Okay.
action, assertion, expansion.
Uh-huh.
That outward focus
Okay.
and then service to others
Yeah.
resonates with yin energy.
Okay.
Receptivity, nurturing, connection.
It's like two sides of the same coin.
Exactly.
You need both to have balance.
You got it.
The law of one might emphasize picking one path,
Right.
but the Tao Te Ching seems to suggest
Yeah.
a more cyclical approach.
More of a dance
Right. Embracing both yin and yang.
as they constantly change into each other.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, speaking of things that can make your head spin,
Okay.
let's talk about illusion.
All right.
The law of one is pretty straight up
Uh-huh.
about reality being an illusion.
It's a pretty wild concept.
Yeah, it is.
The law of one is suggesting that what we think of as solid and separate
Right.
is actually just energy.
Right.
A projection of the one creator's mind.
So we're all characters in the creator's dream.
You could say that.
Okay, but if it's all an illusion, why bother with all this spiritual growth stuff?
That's where free will comes back.
Okay.
The law of one says that this illusion is necessary
Right.
for us to experience choice,
Uh-huh.
to learn and evolve.
So the illusion is like the playing field,
Yeah.
and our choices are how we play the game.
Great analogy.
Okay.
The Tao Te Ching
Yeah.
doesn't come right out and call it an illusion,
Okay.
but it does hint at how our perception is limited.
Okay.
It says the Tao is ultimately undefinable, beyond our comprehension.
So it's like the Tao Te Ching is saying,
Yeah.
don't get too hung up on what you think you know.
Right.
Because the ultimate reality is way bigger
And way more mysterious.
than you can imagine.
Exactly.
Okay, so we're all part of this interconnected web.
Yes.
Reality is kind of an illusion.
Uh-huh.
We have free will to figure it out.
It's a lot to take in.
Yeah, it is. How do we make sense of it all?
Mm.
How do we not get lost in this cosmic maze?
Both the Law of One and the Tao Te Ching talk about the importance of humility.
Humility.
Not in a self-deprecating way,
Okay.
but in recognizing that we're part of something much bigger.
So letting go of the egos need to have all the answers.
Exactly. Approaching life with curiosity,
Uh-huh.
openness,
Right.
knowing there's always more to learn.
Okay, that makes me think about how both systems emphasize
Yeah,
the cyclical nature of things.
they do.
The Law of One talks about moving through densities,
Yeah.
experiencing these cycles of learning and growth.
And the Tao Te Ching,
Right.
with its focus on yin and yang,
Right.
also highlights this constant change,
Yeah.
transformation,
Everything is in this dance of creation and destruction.
expansion and contraction.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
It is.
It's not just about these big cosmic cycles, though.
Right.
It's also about the cycles in our own lives.
The patterns.
Right, the lessons we keep running into
Until we learn them.
until we finally get it.
You got it.
Both systems are telling us to embrace the ups and downs.
Ebb and flow.
Right, to see change as a constant.
And find the wisdom in each part of the cycle.
Speaking of big changes, what happens after this life?
Good question.
Death is something everyone experiences,
True.
but each system has its own view on it.
It seems like it.
The Law of One says death is a transition to another density, right?
Yeah.
The physical body is gone,
Right.
but the soul, or the mind-body-spirit complex,
As they call it.
continues his journey somewhere else.
In another realm.
So it's less of an ending and more of a
Yeah.
level up.
Exactly. It's
Right.
continuing the journey we're already on.
The Tao Te Ching
Yeah.
doesn't really focus on the specifics of what happens after death,
True to form.
but it says we should accept death as a natural part of life, right?
Absolutely.
It's just part of the cycle.
No more or less important than birth.
Or growth.
Exactly.
It's like the Tao Te Ching is saying,
Yeah.
don't get too hung up on the destination. Focus on living this life fully.
In harmony with the Tao.
That's a beautiful way to sum it up.
It is.
Both systems, in their own way,
Yes.
are guiding us to a deeper understanding of ourselves and the universe.
And the Law of One dives into
Yeah.
this multi-layered nature of the self.
Yeah, there's the personality self
Uh-huh.
we experience right now,
Right.
and then there's the higher self,
That wiser, more evolved aspect of ourselves.
living in a higher density.
Exactly.
The higher self is like a guide,
Yeah.
a source of wisdom,
Always connected to our present moment.
like having a built-in spiritual GPS.
I like that.
And the Tao Te Ching,
Yeah.
even though it doesn't specifically talk about a higher self,
Right.
describe the Tao as our true nature.
That pure, unconditioned essence within us.
Okay.
Always connected to the source.
So in both systems, the goal is to align with that true self,
Let go of the limitations of the ego.
right, and merge with something much bigger.
And both emphasize that this isn't a passive thing.
Okay.
It takes work.
Right, it's not like you just read a book or listen to a podcast
No.
and suddenly you're there.
It takes effort.
You got to do the work.
Yeah, it's about becoming more self-aware.
Right.
Thinking about our choices.
Okay.
Consciously choosing thoughts and actions that align with our highest good.
And the Tao Te Ching,
Yes.
with its emphasis on self-cultivation and looking inward,
Right.
supports that idea too.
It does. It's about quieting the mind,
Uh-huh.
noticing our patterns,
Right.
and gently guiding ourselves back to the Tao.
And both point to meditation as a way to do this inner work.
Absolutely.
The Law of One describes meditation as a way to connect with the higher self.
And the Tao Te Ching emphasizes finding stillness,
Yeah.
accessing the wisdom that comes from a quiet mind.
So whether you're connecting with your higher self or the wisdom of the Tao,
Right.
meditation seems to be a key practice.
It bridges the two systems,
Okay.
offering a way to connect with that deeper wisdom.
Okay, so we've got inner work,
Uh-huh.
meditation, the cyclical nature of things.
Right.
It's like we're building a toolkit for this spiritual journey.
I like that.
But what about karma?
Karma,
It's often misunderstood.
yeah, people think it's some cosmic punishment system.
Right.
But both the Law of One and the Tao Te Ching see it differently.
Okay.
The Law of One says karma is a way to learn and grow.
Okay.
It's about experiencing the consequences of our choices,
Huh.
both the good and the bad,
Right.
so we can evolve and become more aligned with the Law of One.
So it's not about punishment. It's about feedback.
Exactly.
Like the universe is giving us information
Yes,
about our choices and their impact.
you got it.
It's like that saying, what goes around comes around.
Right.
But it's not about revenge.
No.
It's about realizing Our actions have ripple effects.
Uh-huh.
We're all connected.
Exactly.
Both systems are telling us to take responsibility for our choices
Yes.
and see them as chances to learn and grow.
And that connects back to compassion. If we understand that our actions affect others,
Right.
we're more likely to be kind and understanding.
The law of one says compassion is key to our spiritual evolution.
It's about seeing the divinity in everyone.
Right.
Treating everyone with respect,
No matter what.
no matter their choices or actions.
And the Tao Te Ching,
Yeah.
with its focus on living in harmony,
With all things.
right, also points to compassion.
It does. It encourages us to live with
Yeah.
gentleness, kindness, humility, non-resistance.
In how we interact with ourselves and others.
Exactly.
So compassion isn't about feeling sorry for someone.
Right.
It's about recognizing we're all connected.
Our shared humanity.
Right. Treating everyone with kindness and understanding.
Including ourselves.
Including ourselves. That's a great point.
It is.
That brings us to another concept that both systems address.
Okay.
Enlightenment.
Spiritual liberation.
This can sound really lofty
Yeah.
and impossible.
Out of reach.
But the law of one offers a more grounded perspective.
Oh.
It's not like you suddenly become an angel.
No.
The law of one says it's a process.
Moving through densities of consciousness.
Right. Each density is a higher level of understanding.
Their vibrational
So
frequency.
it's a journey, not a destination.
Exactly.
And the Tao Te Ching, even though it doesn't say enlightenment,
Right.
describes a similar process,
Aligning with the Tao.
merging with the source.
Yes.
So whether you're aiming for higher densities or merging with the Tao,
Right.
it's about getting past the limitations of the ego.
And realizing we're all connected.
And that's not a one-time thing.
No.
It's an ongoing process.
Of understanding and embodying that connection.
Okay, so no magic switch.
No.
Just continuous growth.
And evolution.
How do we do that?
How do we foster this growth?
Yeah.
The law of one talks about balancing our energies.
Okay.
It focuses on the 7 chakras.
The energy centers along the spine.
Right.
It says they need to be balanced and open.
For optimal health and well-being.
And even though the Tao Te Ching doesn't talk about chakras,
Right.
it emphasizes balancing yin and yang,
Within ourselves and in our lives.
finding that balance between masculine and feminine,
Active and passive.
light and shadow,
It's all about inner harmony.
like building a strong foundation
Yeah.
so we can handle the challenges of life.
And keep growing.
It's easy to get caught up in the seriousness of spiritual stuff,
It is.
but both systems say joy and humor are important too. The
Absolutely.
law of one actually says we should lighten up.
Not take ourselves too seriously.
I think we all need to hear that.
It's good advice.
It says humor and joy can help us detach from the ego
Yeah.
and connect with love and light.
The heart of creation.
And the Tao Te Ching,
Right.
with its emphasis on going with the flow and acceptance, seems to agree.
It does. It's about finding the lightness,
Right.
the flow.
The joy in the journey.
Exactly.
It's like both systems are saying,
Yeah.
life is meant to be enjoyed.
Not just endured.
So find the humor in things.
Don't sweat the small stuff.
Keep your heart open to joy.
That's good advice for anyone.
On any path.
It really is.
As we're exploring these concepts,
Yes.
it's important to remember the big question.
Okay.
What's our purpose here?
The purpose of life.
The law of one says we're here to learn,
To grow.
using our free will to
To learn.
evolve.
And get closer to the Creator.
And the Tao Te Ching,
Right.
with its focus on aligning with the Tao,
Yeah.
suggests our purpose is to embody the qualities of the Tao
To live in harmony.
with the natural order.
So whether you're serving others
Aligning with the Tao,
or just trying to be your best self.
it seems like the goal is to contribute to the harmony of the universe.
Beautifully said.
It is a beautiful idea.
As you learn more about the Law of One and the Tao Te Ching,
Yeah.
remember to keep an open mind
A curious heart.
and a sense of playfulness.
It's a journey of self-discovery.
There's no one right way to do it.
That's the beauty of it. It's like we've got 2 different maps
Yeah.
to the same place,
To the same destination.
but they show different landmarks.
Different perspectives along the way.
And the journey itself is just as important as where you end up, right?
Yeah. So good.
It's about what we learn along the way,
The experiences we have.
the connections we make.
All of it.
Speaking of connections, I'm curious about how the law of one looks at technology.
Okay.
I mean, it was channeled in the 80s.
Right. A very different time.
A totally different tech landscape back then
Yeah.
than what we have now.
No smartphones back then.
So what does it say about technology?
The Law of One's perspective on technology is pretty relevant, actually.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't say technology is bad,
Okay.
but it does say we shouldn't rely on it too much.
So it's not saying we should ditch our phones and live off the grid.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
It says that technology is a tool.
Right.
And like any tool,
Yeah.
it can be used for good or bad.
It's all about how you use it.
It's the intention that matters.
That makes sense.
It's easy to get sucked in
Oh, yeah.
to all the convenience and entertainment that technology offers.
Right, but we don't want to forget
Yeah.
about our own inner resources
Our ability to connect with each other
and the world around us.
in a real way.
It's about finding that balance,
Right. It's
using technology to make our lives better,
but not letting it become a crutch.
or a barrier to connection.
Right.
And that brings us back to something that both the Law of One and the Tao Te Ching emphasize,
What's that?
our interconnectedness.
Our interconnectedness, yes.
If everything is one,
As both systems suggest,
then everything we do has ripple effects.
even our thoughts.
That's a pretty powerful idea.
It is.
It makes you realize
Yeah.
we have a responsibility that goes beyond just ourselves.
Beyond our immediate circle.
It's not just about being nice to our family and friends.
Right.
It's about understanding that every choice we make
Every thought we have.
affects the energy of the whole universe.
We're all contributing to the collective.
That brings us to a final question,
Okay.
inspired by both the Law of One and the Tao Te Ching.
I'm listening.
If everything is one and our thoughts have power, what responsibility do we have for the world we're creating?
Wow.
With each thought, each action, each choice,
That's a deep one.
it's like we're being asked to step up
Uh-huh.
as conscious co-creators of reality.
And both systems offer some guidance for this co-creation.
Okay.
The Law of One says,
Yeah.
align your thoughts and actions with service to others.
Right.
And the Tao Te Ching says,
Wow.
embody the qualities of the Tao.
Compassion, humility, harmony.
Yes.
So whether you're all about service or embodying the Tao,
The message is clear.
we have a responsibility to use our thoughts and actions wisely
With awareness of how we're all connected,
and with a commitment to the highest good of all.
it's empowering, isn't it? It
It,
says we're not just watching this cosmic dance.
yeah.
We're part of it
We can shape reality.
through our choices.
It's a little daunting,
It is.
but also exciting.
Definitely.
So, as you go about your day, dear listener, remember, everything's connected. Your thoughts have power, and you have the potential to create a world that reflects the love, wisdom, and harmony at the heart of creation.
Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.